Hey, everybody, welcome to Don't Make Me Come Back There. We are a funny podcast about family. My name is Dustin Nickerson. I'm a stand-up comedian and the host of the aforementioned podcast. And alongside me in our state-of-the-art recording studio above Public Square Coffee in downtown La Mesa, California, is my lovely wife, my co-host, and my best friend, Melissa Nickerson.
Hey there.
Straight off the Jungle Cruise.
That's right.
Great to see producer Andy Lara here as well. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today we have a special guest. We have Greg Warren returns back to the pod as the
last time we were mostly talking about is like condo renovation.
We're talking condo renovations. What's our term again? The carpool? When they get in,
Hitchhiker.
Hitchhiker. That's right, hitchhikes. I'm sorry, I always forget.
And he was
They're the
releasing
backseaters.
his new podcast.
He's the hitchhiker. Yeah.
And now he's releasing his next special.
Host of The Consumers. The new special comes out tomorrow. The Champ on the Nateland page, which if you're watching us on YouTube, you're honestly numbers-wise more likely to watch his special than hopefully he promotes our pod on his special. That would help us. If anything,
promotion,
cross-pollination Melissa loves business terms. One of Melissa's favorite things, Melissa loved business bros when she was, Melissa got a business minor, and her favorite thing about it was her classmates.
Yes, for sure.
Expand, Mel. Come on. How often a class would you, let me ask you this. Business class, how many eye rolls per hour?
Just one constant eye roll. If you have an econ teacher talking about if you have X widgets and you produce Y widgets, then why are we talking about this? You also,
I imagine...
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
That's correct. I imagined were rolling your eyes a lot during the, anytime any of your co-business bros spoke.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a creative bunch. And
you might not have been in the right major.
It wasn't a fit. It wasn't a good fit for me.
Well, you learned some things, and now you're a CFO.
Somehow I am, but if I would have never bought the $5 latte in college, and invested it. That's what they like to talk about.
Anyways, guys, we actually joined Dave Ramsey's YouTube channel, so check it out. Love
business.
We're just getting a couple little business things here before we get to Greg. Speaking of business, upcoming shows, ladies and gentlemen. This weekend I will be at the Brea Improv, May 16th through 18th. May 21st, Greg said he's going to be at the Irvine Improv. So if you're in Orange County, lots of comedians coming up. Then I'm going to be in June. I'm going to be in Vegas the 6th and 7th, Cleveland the 12th through 14th, Cincy the 15th, Providence, Rhode Island the 19th through 21st, Minneapolis the 27th, Eau Claire. So Midwest has been correcting me on some of my pronunciation. Eau Claire, the 28th. And then I said Petoskey, Michigan.
Yeah.
Ruth here said in our Facebook group, I love that you're coming back to Michigan. The O in Petoskey is like the O at the beginning of octopus. It should be
Petoskey.
Petoskey? Yeah, Petoskey. Petoskey?
You got it.
Am I saying that right, Ruth? Please. Give me a 5. Yeah, I mean, Andy did it there. So Petoskey, Michigan at the Great Lakes Center for the Arts. And then beyond that, summer and beyond, we've got Mobile, New Orleans. We just added a second show in San Antonio, Pottstown, PA, Richmond, Greenville, Madison, Charlotte, Stamford, Murray, Connecticut is new on sale October 3rd, Murray, Kentucky, Kansas City, Seattle, Corvallis is new on sale for 2 shows at the Majestic Theater, Nashville, San Diego, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Brooklyn, New Brunswick, New Jersey, Addison/Dallas, Houston, and beyond. Check it out. And Mel, if you guys aren't familiar with Patreon, it's where you can give a little more to the pod and get a little more from the pod. Discounts on merch, behind the scenes footage to this here, meet and greets at the shows. We definitely got some of those coming up in some of these dates.
Hangs.
And a monthly Zoom hang with Mel and I.
And that is coming up on Monday, May 19th.
Monday.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much, everybody. Enjoy Greg.
I don't think that I've been on a podcast with a plant before.
Yeah?
Well, we are millennials. So we got a plant-based aesthetic.
Is that true?
Yeah, I like it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Nateland is that's mostly millennials.
Yeah, I did that yesterday. There's no plants in that whole building.
No, couple vegetables.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't think of anything else. Sorry, and I don't want to be mean and name names. I don't even believe it. So
You had no conviction on that bit.
Yeah, you could say so.
I really like that light fixture in your New York hotel room.
Yeah, this is the nicest your house has ever looked.
Swanky.
This is great.
No, Dustin, this isn't my house. It's a hotel.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
No,
Yeah.
that one kind of, what is that? A light bulb kind of
That
thing?
one hanging. Yeah.
Does that window look into the shower from the bed? Is that just
shower window?
It is, but it's opaque. You can't see.
Yeah.
None of it matters because I'm alone, so it doesn't really.
No, it's nice. I can tell it's nice. It's a nice hotel. I can tell.
Yeah, where?
Nice.
Yeah, where are you staying? What are you doing in New York City?
I'm doing. Sorry, that is not good.
That's good.
If this keeps up, I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
I am doing Dan Soder's podcast this afternoon, and then the bonfire.
Oh yeah.
And then do a couple spots tonight, and then I was hoping to do a couple of other things tomorrow, but it doesn't look like that's. I'm going to wind up doing a bunch of this type of stuff, like doing Zoom stuff tomorrow. So
yeah, the press cycles of go be in LA for a while or go be in New York for a while. They don't matter, I guess, the way that they used to. And they're it's a lot of
it's never precise though, at least it's like, oh, I'm going to go be here, so book all my stuff there. I'll be in New York for these 3 days, so make sure that you get that. And they'll be like, yeah, well, nobody wants you in New York. And then and then I'll go to L and they'll be like, hey, we actually got something in New York. It's like, so you just have to realize you're going to go back and forth a few times.
Yeah.
I guess.
And things get canceled and postponed and rescheduled so often. You just gotta.
I'm just trying
fly
to
with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was my last special back when I wrote new material and released specials. Younger part of my career.
I remember that, man.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I was less jaded by the industry.
Yeah, man. Everybody said you had a lot of promise.
Yeah. And the big anchor thing I was going to LA for, which is different because it's 2 hours away, but still was staying up for a couple nights in a hotel, and was the big anchor thing I got canceled on the drive up.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's why you were gonna release on that date.
Yeah.
Based on the release of that.
And
you just gotta.
And we've been trying to reschedule that pod for 2 years.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we're gonna get you on. Yeah.
To promote the special.
You realize the scheduling error is that you're not famous enough.
They're like, who?
Yeah.
No,
man.
When you become a good guest for us, we'll squeeze you in.
Yeah. And that's the scheduling error. I've had that scheduling error several times. They're like, the error is we should not have scheduled you.
The scheduling error.
Yeah. And then you're like, listen, between when I was supposed to be scheduled and now, you've had Nate 5 times.
Yeah. Nate tends to get, It's never a scheduling error to have Nate.
Well, the special, let's see here. This is coming out. Your special
Friday.
comes out Friday.
Yes.
So that would be 5 days ago. Well, you tell me, Greg Warren, do you want this to come out the day before your special comes out or
Probably
8 days after, or what? No, we're 6 days after.
I think before, but honestly, either one would be fine. However it works out for you. Yeah.
Great. Well,
no, we can do that.
Your special comes out tomorrow. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it. I've sent the fishing clip to probably 100 people.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot,
great.
man.
No one
fishing coach, right?
The fishing coach.
Yeah.
When you one of the things I admire about your comedy, we talked about earlier, me telling that stupid vegetable joke, a joke with no conviction. You don't tell a joke without conviction. And
Yeah, man, and some people have said maybe I should have less conviction about some of these things.
we'd love you to have some doubts.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Just that you said I'm in New York, and I was just walking around the city, and you know, I overheard 10 phone conversations.
Yeah.
And all of them had conviction. Like
Yes.
there's not one person in this city that's speaking on the phone that isn't so sure of something. You know, like they're always just so absolute definite. Like I'm like 50% of you guys got to be wrong.
Yeah.
There's no question in their mind about what they're saying is completely right, and they're saying it loudly, and with emotion.
And that's very antithetical to the Midwest boy you are.
Yeah, man, I'm not sure about anything. Second guess every decision I've made.
Yeah. I find comedy crowds in the Midwest my favorite for that reason, and that they don't disagree with anything I'm saying or not saying. I feel like they're hearing me out.
Yeah, we'll hear you out, man. We'll hear you out.
You might badmouth me behind my back later.
Sure. We don't like the look of you, and you're, you coming in with your coastal elite type stuff, but
it's the Hawaiian shirt.
But we'll hear what you have to say.
I know honest question. I know that we're going to interview you. I go out of my way I try to not in any way put out coastal elite in the world.
No, I don't think that you do.
Oh, good. Thank God. I believe it that I am better, but I don't want anyone to know that I think that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, nobody would think that.
Good. Good.
You don't seem educated enough.
I just don't see any. I see coastal, but not elite.
Yeah. He lives on a coast. Yeah. He's coastal working class.
Yeah.
Well, what I was getting at with your the conviction, and also that cheerleading bit that at the end of the assistant coach or the coach assistant coach into cheerleader is so funny and just frankly harder than I want to work on a bit.
Yeah.
And I admire it. That's a Midwest work ethic to it, because that you really sat down and wrote cheers, fishing based cheers. And
I'm not only did I sit down and write cheers a few days before we shot it, I went to my high school, and I had a cheerleading coach work with me on my cheerleading moves. And in the credits, as the credits roll, there's a video of her teaching me cheerleading moves.
Incredible.
And I'm a little hurt. Like, I sent it to my friend Amanda, and she mocked my moves, you know?
Well, Mel's
a
former Texas cheerleader.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's where cheerleading. That's where cheerleading.
It's the Mecca.
Began.
Yeah.
This is the Mecca of cheerleading.
Yeah.
I think it's solidified itself as the Mecca of cheerleading with the Texas cheerleader murder mom or whatever.
Oh.
Remember
That's
the girl
probably true.
Which one was this?
Sounds like a reality TV show kind of thing.
It was a thing that happened when I was living in Texas, actually. But it was some woman, I think, in Baytown, maybe, which is a sort of a oil community. Yeah. She was jealous of her daughter was not getting on the cheerleading team. And I think she maybe killed the head cheerleader's mom, or something. I don't know what it all was, but it was It wasn't like a movie of the week type thing.
It's very competitive cheer in Texas, and
which is why Melissa didn't condemn that act just now. She didn't endorse it. Melissa was like, "No, I get it. I would."
No, I know it's not good. I know it's not good. Yeah, I know it's not good, and I'm embarrassed now to even have done that bit. Now that I'm with a Texas cheerleader, it's makes me feel silly. But Johnny Carson, I think, I think it was Johnny Carson that said like you'll use everything if you stay in this business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were like in high school, we did the guys did a pom-pom routine at one of the basketball games, and I was part of it. And what she said was like, you're going to be terrible, but you have to try. The only thing, it's not funny unless you commit to trying to do these moves.
Yeah.
It's not funny if you don't commit to actually do, like if you just out there, screwing around, it's like, oh, they're not. Yeah. But if you try, it'll be funny. So I literally I was like, I'm going to try to do a couple of moves,
I thought it was great.
So this wasn't your first cheerleading routine because you had that experience in high school. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think what I was doing in high school was more dance. I think more,
palm based. Okay.
Palm based. Yeah. So this, and this is cheerleading. Now they're related in some ways, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's some crossover.
I think so.
No, I love the commitment to the bit. I mean,
Thank you.
Like I said, it showed. It showed, that you put work into it.
You do like 4 cheers. It keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I just, he goes around and like writes song lyrics like all the time, or like finishes a rhyme. So it makes sense that you guys could write cheers. That could be your profession. Songwriter.
I think a couple friends helped me with a couple of those cheers.
Yeah.
I think I was doing the I don't remember what. Yeah, we've got worms. Yes, we do. That was an easy one. I think my friend Brendan Nair was like the be
patient. Be patient is so funny. Yeah.
And then I think I had written before be patient. I'd written that thing where it's like, shut up, Charlene, you're scaring the fish. And then my friend Rafe Williams told me about a cheer that they had, they're the girls in their school. He's like, yeah, man, these girls did this cheer. It was our favorite cheer. And it was like, naughtier, I guess, or whatever. And it was this bang, bang, choo, choo. Yeah. So we sort of wrote that on the way, back from Huntsville, Alabama on a drive one. We started trying to get fishing integrated in it. And then my sister-in-law, Jara, is African-American. And she came to the taping and she was like, Greg, that is a black girl cheer. And she said what I did was appropriation. She said, because she told me the whole cheer, and it's not. I don't do a very good job of it, but yeah, like my nephews can do the cheer, man.
Yeah, that's very funny. Well, Nateland, get ready for that article.
Yep, that's coming out. Yeah. Be the most press I've ever had.
All press is good press.
Yeah.
We got a lot of views. Yeah, got a lot of views. Greg is getting a lot of podcast requests.
Yeah.
Not the ones you'd expect.
No. Although with some of the big comedy podcasts, they do dip into, some of the politics now. So maybe that's my way back, to backdoor into some.
Well, that's why we brought you on here today.
Okay.
Actually,
good.
Tariffs, go.
Outstanding.
I was going to ask you, Greg, as a wrestler, do you remember did you have wrestling cheerleaders?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because Dustin did too.
It's the only cheer I remember.
He'll tell me about them.
I remember
pin him to the mat.
Yeah, I know.
Roll him over,
tie him in a pretzel. Show him how to wrestle. Pin your man. It's the only cheerleader cheer.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Pretzel wrestle is a very loose rhyme.
Yeah. I mean, it's no bang bang.
I remember takedown, take 2, which is obsolete because now takedown is 3 points. They changed the rules.
Unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
Kids these days on their iPhones and their 3-point takedowns.
Be aggressive. AGG.
That goes to all sports.
Yeah, that goes for all of them.
I guess I'm trying to think of a sport where aggression is not a good thing.
Well, sometimes wrestling. Sometimes there's more passive wrestlers. I mean, you were actually a more elite.
They're called stallers, Dustin.
I know, and I was a staller.
Yeah,
I've told you this before.
Yeah, I know. You're very defensive. You didn't take any risks. It's
didn't.
like his comedy.
Yeah. No, I had
That was a strategy.
But me talking to this is like you talking to a Cowboys cheerleader as far as like level go. But I in my
8th grade cheerleader.
My years of wrestling, I had a good sprawl. I liked being a defensive wrestler. I'd wait for them because I didn't have a good shot, and so I was like, I'll just wait for them to have. There's defense-oriented players out there, so yeah.
Oh, totally, man. And it's a lot of the really good college wrestlers sort of employ some of the tactics.
So in that sense, be aggressive. I'm like, I'm being passive. Be passive. Wait for him to make a mistake.
Yeah. Be aggressive, except for Dustin.
Just wait.
Yeah. I don't like the analogy you made with Melissa and the Cowboys cheerleader. I think that's hurtful. I mean, I think she could talk cheerleading with those girls. I really do.
Well, to be fair, Mel was Mel's athletic accomplishments were track and field.
Yeah, you were a runner, right?
So,
which, by the way, man, your son is gonna run in college.
Yeah. We're not gonna officially announce any type of announcement here.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because there's a chance of change and PRs and stuff. But what I texted you is still the current plan. He is definitely gonna run in college and he's got D1.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. It's such a rare. I just being around parents and you just see them and you see their kid or you see some kid that's like big and it's like, he's going to play football in college or, this kid's, he's going to run like, and I'm always, that's awesome. And you're like, and then in the back of my head, I'm like, the numbers say no.
Yeah.
For him to go run in college is.
Well, it
crazy.
just goes to show when people are like, we shouldn't take this so seriously. None of us are going to the next level. It'll be like, actually, our son is.
Yeah.
I mean, no, that does apply to you. But our son.
I was telling him it's interesting because you start with this huge team, which is one of the things I love about track. Buses and buses of kids come out to these meets, these dual meets. And then now we've had our JV conference championship and our varsity conference championship. And so we just keep whittling down the team. It's a smaller list and suddenly some of the parents aren't there and some of the kids aren't there. And so now we're down to like 15, 20 kids maybe that are in the playoffs. And so the competition just gets harder and it's more selective and you got to travel further. But it's exciting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where is he now in the process?
So conference or like league is over.
League was last week,
and now we have 2 rounds of like
districts
basically, prelims and finals, and that's for San Diego.
And San Diego County.
Correct. And then state.
Wow.
So
he went to state in cross country, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, he would have to give you an idea of how competitive the state of California is at the highest levels, I think I've told you this before, there's a good chance he won't make it to the state track meet. He's actually an outlier as of right now, but would still go run it at D1 college.
That makes sense.
It's just a big old,
just a massive,
But it feels great because I keep telling Mel this, like, they give you, the AD gives you the speech at the beginning of the sports orientation thing with all the parents. Hey, just so you know, 1% of high school athletes go to college.
Yeah.
And then I keep telling Joel, and I was like, and an even smaller percentage of that 1% go D1.
Yeah.
Like, so it's very fun and very satisfying. So
it's rare air.
I would be curious. We talk a lot about sports and youth sports on this pod. We were going through like, okay, who do we know that we can talk to about various sports anyways. Obviously you being a collegiate wrestler, what did like recruitment look like for you? Did you have people coming to your matches? Because now recruitment is like, track, it's easy. They just look at your time.
Look at your times.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's so easy. But at your level,
You can't text a coach.
no, and we see this at volleyball. People are filming. They're making mixtapes.
A lot of film.
You know?
Yeah, that's so funny, man.
Yeah, but that's not. What was they're looking at your record. They're coming to your. They actually have to go visit, or what did it look like?
I mean, I was like recruited, but mostly regionally. You know, like the University of Missouri offered me a scholarship, and then like I think Southern Illinois and Missouri State, and a couple of I got letters from everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like the smaller colleges, but I wanted to wrestle. And then late in the process, the United States Military Academy, they started calling me.
Oh, really?
So I went to West Point my first year of college, man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I went to for the full year. I went to West Point.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I was a cadet and, in the Army and then I didn't want to do that. And I transferred to
Easy
Missouri.
Enough. Yeah.
So I think with wrestling, it was, you had to have sort of won a maybe multiple state championships.
Right.
And then they would look at like how you did in these summer tournaments that were these national tournaments.
Yeah.
I did well, I think my junior year in some of like the Rocky Mountain region where it's like 7 or 8 states. I won one of those. And then at the junior nationals, my junior year, I didn't place, but I think I won like 8 or 9 matches and still didn't place. Like It was just one of those crazy tough tournaments. And then I remember going to another regional thing and getting pounded pretty good by a couple of guys. Both of them wound up being national champions in
college.
Wow.
In college. Yeah. One of them was a national champion for Iowa. The other one was a 2-time national champ for Wisconsin. And he was, and like sort of, there's a video of him on YouTube, like beating the greatest wrestler ever from Russia. The guy was young when this guy beat him, but like,
Right.
And that was I was just a senior in high school. And I was like, and I remember the first round I beat this guy from Indiana and coaches started coming around. And they were like, because they were like, hey, we didn't think that like Missouri was like a mid-level. And they're like, there's no way this guy should have beat that guy. And I beat him. So they were all like, hey, who's this kid? Who's this kid?
That's fun.
And then I went out and got smoked by this guy from Iowa. And I didn't see any coaches, really.
Yeah. So it had to be in person. I guess that is one nice thing about wrestling. It is like there are the big tournaments that people can go to.
Now that's all the big schools are looking at is like, how did you, and there's a few of them. How did you do in these tournaments? But,
and it is, as Joel goes to these higher levels and you get it, it's just that there's just levels where, Joel is going to go to a good school and a good track school. And for him, his like 3 schools he really liked the idea were UW, where I went, in Oregon and Cal Berkeley. And, almost every one of their recruits is sub 4 in high school.
In the mile.
Which is like, so Joel is, 420, which is so fast. But the idea that you could be 20 seconds plus faster than that is, it's like you said, it's like you think you're good and then you go to this tournament and you're like, oh. That's why I do find that, like, I think this is especially true in wrestling, but there can be a lot of humility in athletes because you just know there's always someone better. There's almost always somebody better.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, that's funny you said that. A couple of things you made me think of. One that's sort of what the theme of this special is, like
there's a better comedian to choose from.
Yes, I'm trying to let people know in 50 minutes. I want them to know that there's other comedians that are funnier. And
what's the title? Remind me.
The Champ.
Okay, awesome.
The Champ. And it's not all about wrestling, but there's a through line in it, like a 10 to 12 minute chunk of basically talking about my early years in college wrestling.
Yeah.
I got better and I was pretty good, but like that, like I was in over my head to start out. And it's, obviously it's not funny when you're talking about winning. So I talked a lot about losing.
Yeah.
But you said there's always somebody out there better. My dad used to, because when I was a kid, I started when I was like 5 years old. My dad was a coach. So I was good. And, he would always tell me like, no matter how good you think you are, there's some kid in Kansas that's outworking you, because I was in Missouri and that was the neighboring state. So he's like, there's a, because I was beating most of the Missouri kids. He was like, there's a kid in Kansas. I guarantee you he's outworking you. He's way better than you are. So like the first time we went to Kansas or through Kansas on vacation, I was like, just looking around. I was a kid,
Where's that kid?
I was like expecting every kid in Kansas to be like jogging down the freeway or something. Because when you're a kid, you take things kind of literal.
Yeah.
So I was like, that kid's eating a popsicle.
Yeah.
It looks just like the kids in Missouri.
Yeah. And then you see,
take him.
yeah, and then you see one kid running by in the freeway, and you're like, that kid's not even my weight class. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I do remember we went to some regional tournament when I was young, and I did get whooped by a kid from Kansas, man.
Yeah, your dad,
Wes Harding. I still remember
Wes Harding.
Yeah.
Wes Harding, who wound up being pretty good too.
Yeah, you do remember the L's, those losses.
Oh, I could probably give you all their names. Yeah. Not all their names, but I can remember like.
I was gonna say you didn't lose very much if you can still name all the times you lost.
I lost enough. Yeah.
It is funny how you remember the names,
Yeah.
like just your competitors.
Yeah.
And, you just, I don't know, we would see them in the newspaper, like we'd see the high school stats, like who won that meet and their times.
Yeah.
And
do you remember some names?
I do. Yeah.
Share some names.
Were you a distance runner too, Mel?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just was in Washington State, and that was how you could kind of track how everyone was doing in their season.
She did the mile, the 2, and then she
yeah.
ran cross country and as well. And this, I was telling her, I mean, because we were dating at her senior year, so I was, this race that Joel's about to run this weekend is the one that she PR'd at in high school at like 5.
I mean, so I was a little bit better in the 2 mile.
Yeah.
And
she was fast.
I went to state in some relays, but I didn't get to go to state individually until my senior year.
Wow.
And I did it in cross country and track my senior year.
That's awesome.
Really what I wanted, because, injury, sickness, all that stuff. But you're when you have a goal
that's such a cool thing.
So yeah, he warmed up with me before I ran the 2 mile at state.
That's all I could do. That's all I could do. I was tired.
And then we went and saw Star Wars.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where did they run the was it at UW or was
it was in Tacoma. This was
okay.
No, not state.
Oh, sorry.
You're asking where the state championships were?
Yeah, where the state meet was.
Pasco, baby, right?
For cross country, it was in the Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Pasco, and then state was Memorial Day weekend in Tacoma.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's fun though. It's fun that you still remember the names.
Give me some names. Give me some. Let's share some names of people that defeated us in our various.
Molly Wise was one of them. That was a Gig Harbor runner.
From Gig Harbor. You remember that? That's what I love, these things.
Yeah.
Molly Wise from Gig Harbor. I never beat her.
I mean, I ran cross country, and I remember some of those guys. Like, I remember the biggest guys in the sort of the St. Louis area. There's a guy named Chris Borsa, was like from CBC. He was a killer.
Yeah. You're like, they're gonna be in this
guy
race.
from Fox High School, Brian something, and then we had a guy on our team that was a senior when I was a freshman, Larry Henze, that was up there in the top 10 type guy.
Yeah. That's my one time in our local paper. This was my freshman year district tournament wrestling. I made it in other sports a couple times, but the one picture I ever got. So I was like the 3 seed, and the 2 seeds were way ahead of me. DJ Ferris and Jet Daraj, something like that. Daragi, I forget how to say the last name exactly. And and they were both like way better than us. And I had wrestled Jet earlier in the year, and he beat me like 18-2. Just pin me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
This is humiliating.
Mhm.
And then I beat Jet to go to the finals, and it was a big upset.
You beat a guy that beat you 18-2.
Yeah.
That's
It was
amazing.
It was a huge. I just had a bad meet, and it was great. But then, not only do I get pinned in the championship, the picture is of me getting pinned in a bad head and arm,
Yeah.
just like this.
You're like-
And DJ, who's a good looking kid, is looking at the camera. Like,
That's why they had
Yeah.
to put it on the cover.
because when you get a guy in a good head and arm,
Yeah. You can just sort of hang out.
it's
Yeah,
effortless
yeah,
almost.
Yeah. You can just sort of hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like dumb
Yeah.
cheerleader. I'm tight in a pretzel, but I
had a couple of those pictures.
Yeah.
I had one. My friend who's like still one of my really good friends today. I wrestled against him my freshman year, and there's a picture of him. I think he was shooting the guns or something.
Yeah.
Like after.
incredible.
Yeah, it's awful, man.
I think I told you this. So, was the first time we hung out that run with Nate in Springfield and stuff? I don't.
Well, remember the three of us hung out with Regan that one night.
Oh yeah.
In Vegas.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was great.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's right. That was our first time, and then but the first time we worked together, we were at one of the gigs was at Missouri Tech, which he mentioned that. So he went to Mizzou,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes like you old athletes, that old little competitive just comes out of you just like a little bit. And I don't even remember how it came up, exactly what it said, but you just kind of offhandedly is like, oh no, I didn't lose to these guys.
Just to clarify.
Like we were in the gym, you probably wrestled and stuff.
Yeah, it was Missouri State. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
called Southwest Missouri back then. Yeah, I never
yeah.
lost to those guys. Yeah,
It keeps
no, definitely not. Yeah.
But did you guys just remind me? Were you on campus for the show? Or
Yeah, we
Yeah, the show's
had
like-
these scooters that
Yeah.
and we were like going around. These grown men riding around on scooters
Yeah.
on the campus.
college
'cause we had-
campus?
that night. So this lady comes up and she's like, what are you guys doing? Like she was
Yeah.
like, I think she was at work for the
Security.
university.
Yeah.
The alum. She was
Remember
like,
they were
"What are
doing
you guys
campus
doing?"
tours. It was parent orientation week.
Yes, that's what they do all summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "What are you guys? Are you guys alumni?" And then they go, "Are
Parents?
you here for the Nate show?"
Yeah.
And Nate's right there, but he's got sunglasses on, and he's got a beard and a hat.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you here for the Nate show?" I'm like, "Are you a Nate fan?" She's like, "He's my favorite comedian. I love him." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, really?" I go, "Do you know what he looks like?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Oh my God!" it was a great moment. It was
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah,
It is.
How fun for her.
yeah,
Yeah.
What are these grown men on scooters doing?
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys alumni. You got a student with you.
Yeah.
And then Greg was like, "Oh no, I never lost to you guys." And she's like,
No.
What are you even talking about? What? Are you...
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was trying to, get her attention away from Nate, but it didn't. I was like, Jim Prendergast, he wrestled here. I beat him.
I love that how long did your dad coach you? Like, I love that.
Yeah, he was my high school coach.
Oh, okay.
So he was the head coach at our high school, but he was my coach kind of in Little League. Like, there were other coaches, but
Yeah.
he was definitely like
Yeah.
the guy. But he was.
So
was
you're
my
in
high school coach.
you're in St. Louis, but like a little outside of St. Or where'd you grow up exactly?
Just where that neighborhood.
That neighborhood that you were at. Great. So a
yeah.
little outside. I mean, St. Louis, the St. Louis area.
Yeah, suburbs.
Yeah. So, was your high school? Did your dad work for the high school, or
Yeah,
okay?
he was a teacher, and then he was an administrator. Like he sort of, my dad was like one of the first guys to like teach computers, and then he got real into it, and then he just sort of ran the computers for the whole district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early adopter, yeah.
He was.
We were the age where people like your dad were probably like, "Hey, go learn about computers."
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
like,
it just sort of clicked with him, and then he went into business for himself, like writing programs and stuff for people and being a consultant.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, he was a wrestling coach. They told him he went into administration, I think, in the middle of my high school career, and they told him, "Hey, you have to stop coaching, but you can coach Greg his senior year."
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
which was kind of cool. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was difficult at times, but it was really rewarding. I mean, he was a coach, and he was honest and pushy and pushed me hard, and my mother didn't always care for that, so I'm sure he had tension with her. And then some of the tension in the room bled into the house sometimes.
Sure.
And, especially the wrestling, it's like, do you really need to be eating all of that? Like you got to make weight.
Wrestling is very precise.
Wrestling really stressed you out. Joel wrestled for a couple years, and and
I just felt like as a mother, like that tension of like my job is to like nourish you and feed you.
Yeah.
And like just point blank, like what have you eaten today? And so we did a lot of like shrimp and zucchini.
A lot of shrimp,
like the low-cal meals.
Yeah.
But it was still tough because our son wrestled like kind of before he shot up.
Yeah.
So he would have like a cross-country season and then come into wrestling, and I would pretty much just tell the coach, like, he can't lose any more weight.
There's no more weight to lose.
Which he shouldn't, man.
Running, like 50 miles a week.
Yeah, in high school they shouldn't be doing that. There should not be a lot of weight. Like like if you're getting into that elite area, then okay, maybe we should talk about it. But so many, kids and coaches like, my son. No, your son's not good enough to be cutting weight. Like there's no reason for him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like maybe some of that like weight, like weight management stuff that wrestlers used to kind of maybe do back in the day is not unlike maybe some of like the concussion stuff where they're like, hey, we've learned about this. Don't do, like, maybe it's a little frowned upon, a little more like we're a little safer than we used to be.
It is safer. They put some pretty strict rules in place, I think, in the 90s. Some kids died in the 90s. And I think...
Man, this just keeps coming up with you, Greg.
I know. No, I mean, I think that part of it was maybe these kids started to experiment with supplements, and like the supplements and the dehydration did not work well together.
No.
But whatever it was, they basically said, hey, okay, we're going to test your body fat in the beginning of the year and sort of give you a minimum weight that you can go to. And also, like, you can't just go to it. You have to, if you're here, you need to, like, so, but there's still, and they outlawed any sort of like plastics and, saunas and all that. There's ways around a lot of it. And those rules are in college too. So,
right.
But college is where I did crazy weight cut stuff.
Really?
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, it was just, you just would, basically you'd be walking around about 15 pounds or 10 pounds higher than you wrestled. Whoa. And then you would just the last day, you would dehydrate those 10 pounds, step on the scale, and then drink a bunch of water. But back then there was recovery time. So like for a dual meet, it was 5 hours, so you have 5 hours to replenish. For a tournament, it's the night before. So I would do crazy stuff. By the next day, I'm okay. The craziest thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think the craziest thing, my junior year at the NCAA tournament, it's a 3-day tournament. So you weigh in Wednesday for Thursday. And then if you make it through the first day, you weigh in Thursday night for Friday. And I made it through the first day. And I got on the scale and they were like, hey, you have 2 hours. They announced it's like 150 pounders. You have 2 hours, or, you're on the clock, basically. You have 2 hours to make weight that night. You can come back and make it the next morning. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do it. Mm-hmm. So they were like, you have 2 hours to make weight. And I was 9.5 over, and I got it off.
In 2 hours.
2 hours. I got it off. I was the last person to get on the scale, and it was crazy, now it's, I think, an hour. It's
an hour a pound.
This mom is so stressed.
Yeah.
It is
like,
man.
my boy, your poor mother, Greg.
I know. I did some, and even my dad, who's a pretty tough guy. I remember that year at the Big 8. That's how old I am. It was the Big 8 conference.
Yeah.
It was at Iowa State, and I remember him like coming in and like seeing me and being like, "This is." He told me later, he's like, "I almost pulled you off the team at that point." He's like, that's just not. So
I know, it's such a
crazy
fine line.
stuff.
It's a fine line as a parent. They were running Friday night at conference, and it was 90 degrees, and they did 3 races in 2.5 hours, like laps. This wasn't a sprint. Like these were, my son raced 2 miles over 3 races in 90-degree heat, and Mama Bear does kick in.
Yeah. You tried to give him an umbrella for the shade, and you guys got in a fight over it. He's like, "I don't need your damn umbrella, Mom."
He's 18. I'm his mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, get out of the sun.
Yeah. And then as the dad, I'm just like, I'm looking at Mel like, hey, chill out. Mel,
maybe
just chill. A little bit.
I'm like, I can't.
He's got it. He's a,
at least she didn't make him run with the umbrella. That would have
gust away.
And they're off.
That's
I'm running behind him with the umbrella.
That's what.
Some guy's like, this kid's mom is pretty fast. Does she have eligibility left?
Let me ask you this, that old, like, it's got to be a little bit like once a wrestler, always a wrestler. Are you always, I mean, I think a lot of people are in general, are you still stepping on the scale most days and be like,
No. I mean, it was I used to do material about it. Vecchione, our buddy Mike Vecchione he wrestled. He was a really good wrestler, and he loves this. That I told him, I was like, I sort of made a rule after my senior year at nationals that I will never step on a scale again. And he's like, "What about the doctor's office?" I'm like, every now and then they'll get me. But I can say this has happened 30 times where I walked into the doctor's office and they're like, you need to step on the scale. I'm like, I don't do that. And they're like, well, you have to do that. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then, like, if the doctor comes in and is like, listen, we really need it. I'm like, a couple times I've been like, fine.
Right.
But I don't step on scales.
Yeah.
I lived on scales and I do not step on them.
I love this.
I do not like it at all.
Yeah. It's very triggering, I imagine. Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with the scale.
Yeah.
Man. No way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Greg's in great shape, by the way. I've seen Greg. We've competed against each other. We played basketball. We did a 5K that I tried to outkick him on, and I did not. That old competitive edge in him came out. He saw me trying to outkick him at the end, and he's like, because I was trying to just pace with him. I was trying to draft on Greg. And
me and Zoltan, we had a pretty good pace that last mile.
No, we did good. I got very dehydrated that day. Did I not?
Did you?
Have you heard the end of that story?
No.
I wasn't there to, keep him hydrated.
Well, I don't run.
No umbrella.
Yeah. We hike a lot. I walk. I'll run. I'm in decent shape, but like I didn't run a 5K very often. And so we run that, and then we end up in the Rose Bowl because it's the Segura, it's the Two Bears 5K Segura. It was a great event, part of the fest and everything. It's very fun, and friends are there, and you walk out and they hand you a beer, and you're like, and you're just having a beer in the sun. And I eat nothing. I'm not really feeling,
that race high.
Yeah, that race high. Just ran 3 miles or 3.1 or whatever, and it hits me about 2 to 3 hours into that hang that we're doing. I haven't peed in a while. Because everyone keeps going to the bathroom, and I just have not. And I was staying in a hotel, so you don't have your normal water intake like you do at your house.
You gotta go find it,
or like what we do at comedy clubs. Yeah. You got to go out of your way to go acquire water at a hotel.
Yeah.
And I get in that Uber, and then I get back to the hotel. I'm like, I am in bad shape, man. I'm hot. I can't cool down. I start pounding water. I get back to the hotel. I go into the pool just to cool my body.
And this is like a theme park hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Family.
Yeah, I'm at the Sheraton Universal. Like dehydrated.
This guy's dehydrated.
And I'm supposed to do spots at the store that night, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm in bed, and I'm hungry, and so I'm Uber Eating like any fruit in the dark.
Yeah, once you figure out you're dehydrated, it's too late.
Yeah.
Once you figure like, oh, I'm dehydrated, it's like, yeah, well, water ain't gonna cut it. At this point. You gotta have like a steak with a bunch of salt on it.
Yeah,
and then a bunch of Gatorade or something.
Is that what you're supposed to do? I did not. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a doctor one time because I was like, I'm so clueless, but I was on the road and I was like, I went to those clinics and I'm like, man, I never felt like this. He's like, yeah, man, you're dehydrated. I can tell you right now. He's like, I go, I'm drinking water. It's not helping. He's like, yeah, once you get to a certain level, it makes it worse if you drink a bunch of water. And he was like, you got to get the electrolytes in. And I was like, so like Gatorade? He's like, Gatorade kind of goes, but I would go have like a steak and put a bunch of salt on it is what he told me. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's good news. I want to get dehydrated now to go have a salty steak.
Listen, Dustin, you can't do that every day.
Just to stay hydrated.
Hey, do you have I always forget to ask comedians this, but it's one of my favorite discussions is sick on the road, urgent care on the road, ER on the road. What do you got?
It's awful.
Stories.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, being sick on big, because you're like, I have to do a show tonight. So being sick on just a cold, I hate it.
Yeah.
I am, Nate does these like IVs. I think regularly. Mm-hmm. And I have a holistic doctor that I trust a lot. And I was telling her, she's like, hey, if you're feeling like you might get sick or you run down, she's like, come in and do one of these. Like
there you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started doing that. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's but
it is funny to think about, like when Nate does those on the road, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, you need this. You're doing an hour for the arena. I'm not gonna bring an IV to the Omaha Funny Bone. For for the
but it's more the funny, you're doing 5 shows at the Omaha Funny Bone.
Yeah, that's true. And that late show is heavily comped, so I'm dancing up.
You need
there.
a little extra something in the IV.
I did. I was in Eugene last weekend, and they were like, the early shows are great, and then the late shows are like, we're gonna do some comps. I'm like, how many? And they're like, we offered 100. I'm like, 100. That's gonna be a lot of work as a show. So you're right. If anything, we need those IVs.
Yes. Yeah. Nate's fine.
20,000 adoring fans. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
That's like a head and arm.
Yeah, that'll get you through. That's an IV in itself. 20,000 people who love you. I mean,
how about 75 that have never heard of you? And
I'm familiar with those people.
Yeah. And they're mad that they have a 2-item minimum.
Yeah.
I thought these tickets were free.
Yeah.
I didn't bring cash.
The email said free. Go ahead.
My friend Chris Spire is a comic, and he was telling me one time he was doing a show, and it was a late show, and he was eating it hard, and he overheard the lady in the front row saying, "He's ruining my free passes."
Yeah, I've definitely looked in the eyes of people who are disappointed by their free ticket. Like, I'm sorry, I only got one act. I don't know what to tell you, But tell me, do you have a certain couple road sick or urgent care type story, injuries, anything that like jumped to mind?
No, I'm trying to think. Nothing that sticks
you got dehydrated.
out other than where I learned about that steak and the salt. I just wasn't eating enough.
Yeah.
And, that was illuminating. But yeah, I don't think other than just like, I can remember times when I just like, I remember in Erie, Pennsylvania, like laying down in the office, and hearing them bringing me up, and I'm like, all right, I got to get up.
Does the adrenaline
but it is weird.
kick in?
yeah, when you're on stage, you never feel bad. It's
Yeah.
like it's fine.
And as soon as
But
you
I
get
think
off,
you also have that
Yeah.
thing I learned early, like some of those cold medicines, they will stop the cold, but they will, if you're real, like they'll also dry you out. So sometimes you can't talk or very well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that checks out. The IV's working. You like how often are you doing that?
I've only done it twice. And
Yeah.
I am I don't have Nate money, so I'm not going to be doing it that regularly. But for this, like, you've done it before. Like the next few weeks are going to be a little crazy with doing interviews and trying to also squeeze in shows and flying everywhere to try to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's do that a couple of times if we can.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. That checks out. Well, man, we're excited to watch the special tomorrow. We're on the Nateland page, so if they're watching or listening to this, it's probably the next thing in their feed.
And
super excited.
We'll obviously share it on socials and stuff too. What else do you got coming up to promote? You got some dates? What do you got coming up? Got a new hour to write.
Yeah, that just hit me.
Oh no!
Yeah, that is.
Go back to some old hours that maybe early on in your career, pull from the old some of the old stuff.
Or do you think that I haven't thought of that, Dustin? Thank you for that advice.
It's all like you're like.
I know you're trying to be helpful here, but what you're doing is revealing my strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, he did a lot of OJ material.
No, it'll be a healthy mix of new, kind of old, and real old. For a little while.
Yeah. Do you? Let me. I want you to promote some dates real quick. The Taylor and I talk about this. That she has this, and I've had this too, and you've been doing it a lot longer, and you've put out more material. Do you we both have bits that only exist? They've never been released. The only reason that they exist is to buffer when we're writing the new bit. Like
That's hilarious.
They just keep coming up, and you're like,
yes,
maybe this is the new. Maybe it'll make it in.
Yes,
and it never makes it in the new hour.
Yes,
but if you've seen me in between writing,
that's
bits,
really God.
It's come up a few times. There's a few bits that I've told.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
and I'm not trying to be like old wise guy. Here's the thing. That will be in one of your hours at some point. And
you use everything.
20 years, like it will. That thing, something will click. Like I really truly believe. Like if you have an idea, if you're a certain level of comedian, like you are, if you have an idea, it's a good idea. It's just not finished. Like whatever if you have an idea about comedy, you're in the elite of comedians. Like it is a good idea. You just probably haven't figured out how to let them see what you're seeing, or you probably haven't crystallized what you see yet. But yeah, I have a bunch of those, and some of them have turned into bits, and some of them are like you. It's like, all right, let's pull that thing out because it's the only thing I have.
Let's dust that off. You're listening to old. How's it go again? Yeah. Well, that's great, man. Thanks for that little nugget there.
No, I bet I can't wait to see it. Like, I've watched you so many times, and it's like you will figure out every one of those things. you know.
Oh, that's just, nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah. I bet you will.
Well, where can people go see these new, old, very old ideas coming up on tour right now?
I'm trying. Like, I'm not as.
Well, maybe just.
I'm going to be at the Irvine Improv. On the 21st of May.
Great.
That's coming up.
That's coming up real soon. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be at the Ice House in Pasadena on the 21st of June. And I'll be at the Comedy Zone in Greensboro, North Carolina at the end of, I think it's the 29th and 30th of May.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
The 21st is Wednesday. I might come down for that. I would be coming down. Oh, yeah,
man.
Because I'm doing after midnight that day.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll come if I can.
Amazing.
Well,
come to a spot, man. That would be awesome, dude. That would be great.
Hot show. I love that club. So.
Yeah, well, it may be a little different when I'm there, but
it's great. It's gorgeous. It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's our producer can He's Orange County royalty here, so he can
Oh,
talk.
wow.
He can talk a lot about the spectrum. So
Yep.
Yeah, I went like once 20 years ago, and I thought it was the nicest comedy club I've ever been in.
it's very, very nice. Yeah, it's what they built. They modeled all the other new improvs off of. So, well, thanks, man. This has been great. Congrats again on the
Yay.
special. Well,
Thanks, guys.
I might
forward to
see you
it.
soon.
Yeah.
I hope so, man. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for having me. Please text me about the race this weekend.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
text me if you have time to come down if you want to do any of my spots in Brea this coming weekend.
Yeah, I may do that. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take
All
care,
right.
buddy.
Bye.
See ya.
Hey, everybody, want to give a special thanks to our As Essential as Oils patrons. That's our $25 a month and up. Thanks so much for supporting the podcast. That is Adam Bush,
Averill Griffiths.
Allison Nelson,
Andy and Darlene Gurton.
Bonnie Galindo,
Brandon Schoenberger.
Carrie Teague,
Chris Finn.
Christopher and Bridget Finland,
Code to Grow.
Courtney Eibling,
Damaris Diaz Stevens.
Daniel Owens,
Dave and Melissa Cox.
Dave Hoagland,
Dustin Daly.
Jason and Francis White,
Jen Thurk.
Jonathan Rivera,
Jordan Cowan.
Juliana Smith,
Lori Amos.
Lauren and Nick Rachel,
Matt and Sam Slosdom.
Michelle Carlson,
Nick Cordell.
Norman Norman
Perron.
Parn. I'm sorry, Norman, you're the best. You're my favorite one.
Preston and Rachel Wilson.
Rachel Kennedy,
Raina Camps.
Robert and Nellie Capen,
Scott Elliott.
Stephen Menya,
And Tiffany Payne.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.